Oh, okay, let's get started. Whew. Alright, I haven't streamed in such a long time. I've been so busy with work. Okay, so I'm just animating a small scene. So yeah, I've been so busy working on... Whoops. Yeah, I've been so busy just working on my tutorial videos, the package, which I can show you guys a preview of it if I have it here. So this is what it's gonna look like. So I basically recorded a bunch of footage about how to do an arm throw, ball bounce, fish, flag, and usually each of them come with an explanation. Yeah, they come with an explanation for how they work or the principles of it, and then along with that it also comes up with a demo on how to do those or how to make those flags. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I've been trying to make a tutorial package that I'm planning on selling online. So chapter 1 just has the basic principles, and chapter 2 so chapter 2 has all the stuff that is character related. So for this one, for example, I talk about animating a character bouncing around, a pug. Is this one? Yeah, so I'm just showing you guys all the process too, and I'm also going to explain it. The package itself will cost about $200 as a starting price, but depending on how much footage I put, that might vary, because it looks like there'll be a lot more footage. So far, it looks like there's 10 hours of recording, and I'm trying to edit it down. And depending on how much I edit down or edit out, again, that might vary the price. I still have yet to figure out how to plan the actual pricing. So yeah, the reason why I'm just doing a stream late night is also because it's casual. It's meant to be casual, and I'm also here to answer a few questions about the tutorial videos, the projects I'm working on, etc., etc. So right now, I'm actually in betweening a shot for a little small project I'm working on. And I can show you a scene. It's yeah, I'm just looking if these are the right files. So it's just a little quick tests where this girl is slowly transforming. And right now I'm sort of in between the cleanups I have. So it's just it's a really small scene. Oh shit, Flash is glitching out on me. So I don't really animate effects. I'm not really an effects person. I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to effects. So I use a lot of... Sometimes I use reference, sometimes I don't. I used to have a book. I think I have... Actually, no, I have it with me right now, actually. In the bookshelf. It's called Elemental Magic, and it talks about how you can break down effects to actually animate them. So if you guys are looking for a book that talks about animating effects, look up that book. Here, I'll type it. Elemental Magic. So it talks about animating smoke, fire, water, the physics of it. It's a pretty good read. Not much. I'm just working on my own stuff right now. So yeah, in case no one knows what I've been up to, I've actually gone back into a full-time job since the start of September. I'm actually back with DreamWorks Animation, and this is actually my 4th time being back in the studio. You see, I actually left the studio 3 times, and I've always come back, or I was always there at the worst times. 500 employees got let go. DreamWorks at Redwood City shut down. What else? The second time I left was because the second time I left was because of visa reasons. The third time was because Comcast bought off DreamWorks and they decided to can or shelf one of our movies that we were working on. So I actually left because of that, and now I'm back on a movie that I know will be released. So Zucchini Juice asks, here, let me just stretch this so everyone knows what's up with the chat. Yeah, guys, share your animation stuff. Seriously. I have tried OpenTunes, and I absolutely hate it. I think there are some good properties, but in all honesty, there are other better free software out there. I've used some free ones that I actually recommended to my students when I used to teach a class online. But I think that software is pretty broken, and it actually messes up with your workflow. But I mean, if it's free, so what do you expect? And also, if people find value in that software, good for them. There's a Singaporean software called Kakani, and I'll type it here. This is not free. Kakani isn't free. It's around 300 USD, I think. It's around 300 USD, and it actually has an automatic in-betweening tool for people who are lazy to in-between. So check that one out. It looks pretty cool, and I'm actually happy with countries from Southeast Asia coming up with their own stuff. Their own software. Just making sure the colors will match. Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Don't crash, don't crash, don't crash. Oh, phew. Okay. The free ones, let me see what I've tried. I've tried this one called Pencil 2D. Or something around the line. It's like called Pencil or something. I'll have to look for it later, but I had it. I tried it out, and it's basic. It's really basic, but it's okay. As long as you can animate traditionally, and there are tools that allow you to animate traditionally, that's all I kind of recommend when I actually teach my students. But yeah, I'm still trying to look for. I should do like I should do a video, a series of videos of me talking about unknown yet either budget, free, or reliable software for 2D animation. I still need to try Krita, but I don't know what that one's like still. Smoke, smoke, smoke. I do not animate in 3D. I actually... Well, they did teach it at CalArts, but I actually decided to opt in for more story classes, more storyboarding classes, or more time to work on my film, because I had credits to do so. Like, if you have enough credits from your previous education, you can actually use those credits to to not have to take recommended critical studies when you're a student. So, yeah. Arts. So Virginia asks, art schools are so expensive. Is it really worth going? I actually wrote a little essay on that because I might do a video review on that. I think it really depends on who you are. If you are someone who doesn't really know where they want to go, or they don't like they're interested in animation, but they don't know if Disney is right for them or not, or they don't know what they want to do with it, I would say it might be good, but in all honesty, if you have a goal where you want to work as a story artist at Pixar, for example, or an animator at Disney, something specific like that, like you already know where you want to work and you know what kind of position you want, I would say go for those you can go for just workshop classes, meaning there are schools that just offer just the class alone. No bullshit credits, and it's like only $700 for a semester, which is a great deal. I would recommend those to people who already know what they want to do. But if you really want to, let's say, make a film or the education or the guidance, it really depends. I can't really say much about where you should go, but I think you should research. Honestly, if you just want a job, then there are other cheaper options. You don't need to go to school for that. This is so tedious. Of all the things to stream, why am I streaming an explosion? I guess I'm trying to stay awake too before I head to bed at let's say 1 a.m. Yeah, if you just want to be a story artist at a studio, then just find a class. There's one of my coworkers. He's actually the head of story of the production I'm on. He actually teaches a class at Concept Design Academy in Pasadena, and he offers story classes. One semester, which is like 10 classes, is about $1,000, I would say. But about 40 of his students are now working in big major studios. We were just talking about it during lunch. 8 of them are now at Disney Feature, so he's one to look at, and he's trying to open up online school. If you want to be see, this is the thing. I can't tell people. Yeah, you know what? I'll just put it up. Concept Design Academy in Pasadena. It's a great alternative for people who don't want to do a full degree. Okay, so the thing is, I don't know about international students, because the thing with international students, and I was an international student myself, is that if you don't have a degree before, you kind of need a degree in order to qualify for a work visa if you want to study, or if you want to work in the United States or in other countries. Most work visas require you to have a degree at least. So if you don't have a degree, then you might have to go to school for that. If you already have a degree, then you can just take those classes that I was talking about. But this only applies really if you're an international. So as for me telling people whether they should go to school or not, that's hard for me to say, because when I benefited from going to school because I actually learned how to approach my work differently. Every student or every teacher I know had a different viewpoint. I was exposed to different things. And if I were just to self-teach myself, I'd probably just stick to what I knew or what I liked. And if I didn't go to school, I wouldn't know who, let's say, Michael Dudowicz was, or indie animators like Fran Kraus. So things like that are pretty cool. So you asked, does it have to be a bachelor or can it just be a tiny certificate? Usually it's a degree, so that's 4 years. I think that's a bachelor. You know, a lot of my classmates actually did not finish CalArts. They just took a year there and basically got jobs during the school year. Or they left because it is an expensive school. No, I don't think it should be that expensive. But in all honesty, like if you want to get, if your main goal is to get a job first thing, is I would say there are other those other schools or workshops are much better. If you want to, let's say if you want to actually grow independently, you don't, it's like, yes, you do want to work for other places, but you want to make stuff of your own. You actually want to discover yourself. School's great for that. When you actually go to a workshop class, you're basically learning a tool of the trade to go to work. And one thing about work is, and this is, I talk about this with my ex-classmates. And my classmates were talking about how much we miss making films and how much we miss bouncing ideas or exchanging ideas at CalArts. Now that we all have jobs, we kind of miss it. So we kind of, some people felt like they didn't grow or they missed that personal growth. So, and also it depends on the school. So again, it's hard for me to say yay or nay to someone's choice of school. Also, one thing I want to add is, again, everyone is different. There were many bullshit classes at school that, I hated, and there are other bullshit classes that my classmates hated, but I kind of found interesting, like, let's say, film history. Like, live-action film history or mise en scène, like that era, just studying that stuff. Like, that stuff, I would never actually go out of my way to learn about that. But it was cool that I got to get exposed to it. I got to be exposed to a class about curating and event planning, so it's cool. So Anthony asks, how much freedom did the instructors at CalArts give you with the stories you wanted to make? It's actually, they gave, in a way, a lot of freedom, and they gave some good feedback. Oh yeah, Spencer. I know Spencer one. Yeah, Spencer's cool. I've been trying to get him to stream with me, but one day we will get him. One day we will force him. I've been trying to convince him that everything will be okay. But yes, no, Spencer is great. But I definitely think, yeah, you should hit Spencer up and say, like, hey, thanks so much for your work. It's really inspiring. I think it'll mean a lot to him too. He's very hard on himself when it comes to his own work. But yeah, Calix did give a lot of freedom in a way. Like for my fourth year, some of my classmates actually decided to take or retake like layout classes because that's where they wanted to grow. I took some story classes, but I kept my classes minimal because I already met my credits requirements, and that I just wanted to work on my film. So I kind of used my education to help myself, really. I mean, yeah, I worked with, I worked on the same project that Spencer did, which was the League of Legends. I've known Spencer even before that, so we've been talking for a while. I actually met him through another great animator, Max Collins. And, I've known Spencer for a while, and it was kind of a cool surprise to see that he was also involved at the League of Legends thing. I didn't work directly with him, but we were on the same project since it was kind of a freelance thing. Like, the director basically just sent out some documents, and we just worked on it in our own spare time. I think Spencer's still at Powerhouse right now. I may be wrong. God. No, it wasn't through Yada. Not at all. Actually, Studio Le Cachet and Yada are two different things. Two different workforces. So, no, not through Yada. I know Jake, though. Jake Gans. Let me shoot. I don't know if Spencer's even awake. Nah, he wouldn't be. It would be like 1 a.m. or nearly 2 a.m. in Texas. Okay, I'm gonna save these in-betweens for last because they're basically, they kind of look like they just boil. Same drawing. I don't know what this shit is, so I'm gonna erase that. But yeah, I don't think if it wasn't for Spencer, I wouldn't have been interested in Sakuga animation or yeah, like Sakuga animation is something I never really actually got really heavily interested in because at school we were always heavily talked about learning the Western style of animation. So what's cool about Spencer is that he knew so many cool animators to look at. So right now I'm just tracking because there's gonna be a gust of wind on the smoke. So I'm kind of favoriting because it's such a small sense of movement. Fuck. There we go. So I'm favoriting the previous drawing because it's kind of like holding this drawing for this pose for a long time. So I'm favoriting it so it doesn't the jump from this gust does not feel too awkward. So you can see I'm sort of favoring my previous drawing more. Yeah, if you actually want to, let's say, do the type of work Spencer does, definitely look at the stuff that inspires him. That would be a good way to get closer to, or get into his mindset when he, what he gears towards to. Honestly, when it comes to smoke effects or just effects, I think straight ahead is better for me. What I do is I animate the smoke straight ahead in like 8s or 4s. I would say, yeah, I basically do it in 8s, and then I would kind of in between those drawings later on. I think someone's calling me. Oh, never mind. also, so you're gonna hear me like talk a lot or ramble a lot, but you know, like one thing that helped me a lot is look at other work outside of your zone of interest too, because that actually helps you also approach and look at things differently too. Okay. This is so much. I hate dealing with smoke like this. But yeah, when it comes to, let's say you want to animate smoke, right? And you don't know how to approach it, look at how other animators tackled the issue or tackled that problem of animating smoke. For me, I kind of just looked at Sakuga stuff too, because like some of the smoke problem solving they did helps a lot. For right now, I'm not doing the online class right now. I'm actually working on the tutorial package that I was showing earlier, because I realized that there's only so much I can share in the limited time that I have teaching online. When I was teaching online, there was just a lot of basics I had to cover, and there were a lot of also more advanced stuff I wanted to talk about. It's not fair for the students paying that high for people who, you know, let's say, don't really approach the basics properly, or yeah, like, I think it's just that I needed I needed more time to elaborate on the basics. So I'm just gonna make a video package where I talk about animation basics, and then you know, just like sell that online, which basically has video recordings of demos, how I did some of those basic exercises and what to look for when doing those basic exercises, how to do solid drawing. It's pretty dense, but I feel like it's still very basic. So I'm gonna hold off on the online classes, make that first, because the classes were like 5 hours long. Those sessions are not a breeze, because when I had to give feedback, I also had to switch a switch. I mean, okay. I always had to change my approach, because there were so many students at different skill level, and each student had their own either their own problem or yeah, their own specific thing they need to work on. So I had to give them feedback that worked for them. So I'm just going to make the basics and the demos all sold in a package. And then when it comes to me teaching, it's just going to be me mentoring and giving feedback on their work. Not to cover the basics again and again. So it's going to make the classes shorter, but it's going to focus more on the actual feedback with the students. Because I felt like the class I was teaching, I was just, most of the time, I was just doing demos. And that really sucks, even when you're a paying student and you're not getting that one-on-one feedback. So I get that. That's kind of why I'm going to hold it off, make the package, and then when I teach, I'm going to give them the package, for the ones paying for the class. I'll give them the package with the class, and then it'll just be me giving them, you know, feedback, and it's more on that mentoring side. Hey there, I'm curious. So someone, Hannah Watkins asks, hey there, I'm curious as to what your perspective is on working in the industry and what it's like. It's work. Sometimes you do things that you're working on things that you like, and sometimes it's not that great, but it's a job. That's how I see it. But what's cool about it is you get to work in, if you really love animation and you don't mind working with it, like seeing it as a job thing, then I think it's okay. I think working in the industry like is a great experience. But yeah, like I guess for me, and this is just my personal thing, my personal opinion is I kind of like working on a lot of different projects and my own stuff, because to be honest, I don't get impressed. I'm not easily impressed when it comes to major studio pictures. Like I kind of like working with smaller teams, independent teams. That stuff appeals to me more than, let's say, working in a major studio, because I feel like I have voice there. So if you it is a competitive industry. Let's say that. It's competitive. There's a lot of people, young people, trying to fight for the same position as you are. And people are just getting better. So it is competitive. That's kind of why I say, like, keep working on your own stuff, so you're not just someone who can do story art or animation. You're someone who made, let's say, this comic that people responded to really well. Let's say a studio hires you because they like the work you did on a film or a story that you told, and they want you because they like your storytelling sensibility, not the fact that you can, well, I mean, yeah, the fact that you can storyboard or animate, but I feel like if you want to stand out, you kind of have to have your own personal work to stand out with, instead of just a demo reel or portfolio. Because it is getting so much more competitive. Everyone knows how to do a portfolio now. I think it's a good experience if you're thinking of doing full-time industry, like working in the industry full-time. But people are different. Sometimes people like the studio they work for, and some people just hate the studio lifestyle. Okay. Okay, so yeah, what's cool is that it's formless, so I don't really need to keep track of every single point. I can just interpret it. I mean, yeah, whatever I say, don't let it dissuade you or change your opinion about going for a studio. I feel like you should experience it and see if that's something you like. Because your experience may be different from my experience. Like, yeah, everyone has their own word on working in the industry. Some have it really smooth, and some people are still trying to find their grounding in that industry. But if you do work in the industry, get ready to kill a lot of your babies. Meaning, the work that you do, it's probably going to be thrown away, or you're going to have to redo it. So, it's normal in story to redo a sequence over and over and over again. You're sometimes stuck with that sequence for months. The longest one I've been stuck on a sequence is 3 months, but that's considered pretty short to most people who do sequence, depending on how fast the film goes. Sometimes you finish the first pass of the feature and they say we got to redo the whole film. So yeah, you're gonna have to be prepared to redo your work a lot. So that's what I mean by it's a job. It's not. It's. You kind of have to not be too attached to your work. But at the same time, give a lot of effort to your work. If that makes sense. All right, so I have 3 more frames. I think I'm just gonna turn these into 3s. So I'm just going to, yeah, just gonna turn them into 3s so they seem a bit more seamless, and I don't want to in between those. So that's kind of what we have. So it's a so badoom. So it's gonna be a swirl of clouds at this point. And I'll show you some. So Zucchini Juice says, as long as you get paid for redoing your work, it seems fine to me. I mean, if that's how you look at it, okay. But there does come to a certain point where you do get burnt out. The thing is, you do get burnt out. Even though you get paid and you're not really attached to the work, you're going to suffer a burnout. And it's happened to me when I was working on Puss in Boots, because the work demand was so high. I had to do like 500 panels for a storyboard every, like, I don't know, 2 weeks at least? No, 2 weeks at most. So I was working really fast on a lot of boards. At first, it didn't seem that bad and I was getting paid for it, right? But what happens is that you're churning out so much work, you're constantly redoing it, and what happens is you have a burnout, meaning your brain starts stressing out. You can't really solve the problems faster. It's kind of like you're going on a sprint at a marathon for the first get-go, and then you just get so tired later on in the next few miles. So it's easy to say, yeah, if you get paid and redoing your work, it seems fine, but what happens is they're probably going to expect great hard effort work from you, and you're probably going to have a burnout because you keep redoing the same thing over and over again. So that's where people start to question whether they love animation or not, because it is kind of taxing. Because I used to think that, as long as I had a job and I was paid for it, well, it's a job. I don't really need to think too much about, I don't care if I have to redo it, but you get sick of working. It's kind of like redoing a puzzle again and again. But that's the reality. Some people think it's kind of easy, but it's more complicated. It's much more harder than you getting merely just get paid for work. Also, I mean, I've had a few coworkers who worked on really good projects and they stayed up till 2 a.m. during weekdays. Yeah, sure, they're getting paid, but you know, they're having problems with their relationships with their children, with their wives. Wait, what? So, I'd expect... Let me read that. I'd expect to hate the job now and then, but I'd rather do a job I loved than never loved at all. Huh. Well, I'm not saying you're gonna hate the job. I'm just saying the job isn't, it isn't as simple as one can think it is. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying that people kind of think in the most, like, yeah, it's actually just more it's complicated. But hey, if you're doing something you love, I mean, another person I can think of that sort of sounds like what you're saying is Andrew Thurlow. And for those who don't know, Andrew Thurlow was... I mean, he is, sorry. I keep saying like he's dead or something, but he's an American who moved to Japan to work on anime. And the living standards for animation, the animation wages in Japan, they're horrible, from what he reported. But what he says is that even though he doesn't have a life now, he's artistically satisfied. And it really depends. Like, if you really love doing something that much, then by all means, that's good for him. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, yeah, like there are times where the shape of that smoke changes a lot. So I'm just flipping back and forth. I turn off my onion skin to actually feel that shift, because if I use the onion skin, I might not be able to see it, but when I actually flip back and forth, that's how I would do it. After this, I have one more drawing, and I think I'm probably gonna show what I've done so far. Okay, so just oh, sorry, I didn't see the other question, but I don't know if I'll be putting these publicly, because again, these are just casual. They're not really special. If it was like an actual themed stream, like where I talk about, where I actually give a lecture or discussion, then I would probably save it. But because I just need to try and stay awake tonight just to finish the shot, again, it's just a casual stream. I didn't really organize it. I'm gonna have to delete the posts on my Twitter, so delete, there we go. Cool. Oh yeah, I have a multi-streamer, so it lets me stream on both Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, at this point, when I'm not really caring about how great it looks anymore. I'm just winging it right now. As long as it feels right at this case. You know what? I actually agree with Dream High Animation. Art school may not be ideal if you already know what kind of work you want to do. And if you already know what kind of work you want to do, seek out the people who kind of relate to that type of work you do. Let's say, for example, if you wanted to do Sakuga style animation, talk to people who really focus on that. And learn from them too. Study Sakuga related material if that's something you want to do. You can learn on your own. I think nowadays people can learn on their own too. But yeah, it is a choice that you might have to make too. Again, everyone's different. I can't really convince people to go to school or not. All I can say is, from my experience, it helped me a lot. But for others, they would benefit otherwise. That does look a bit messy to me. I think it's that smoke effect actually over here. I don't think it should be here. There we go, so it doesn't feel awkward. And I feel like I'm going to change the timing between here and this drawing, because I do feel like that jump is still a bit too big. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a 4 and do that in between. So that transition will feel better. I mean, that does sound like a solid plan. Like, if you want to just see what the year is like and then choose if you want to stay or drop out, that could be good too. Or again, like I mentioned, check out the other smaller workshop classes, like the ones held by Concept Design Academy or Nomon Workshop or CGMA. CGMA offers workshop classes online, so that's another alternative you want to think about if you still want that experience of going through a some sort of mentorship or education. So That's what I would say if you're not sure. Yeah, I would say I'd love to hear what your friend has to say too. Okay, so I'm actually just tweeting. Wait, Dream High, where are you based in? Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was wondering because now that I sort of understand your situation. Do you, if you don't have a prior degree or let's say diploma? I'm okay. So the thing is, and this is coming from my experience. When I was a third year at CalArts, I was actually offered a job at a studio, but I couldn't take it because, in order for me to qualify for a work visa, I needed to have a degree. So that's 4 years of education. I mean, I guess depending on how some schools work, or how it really depends because I guess other countries are different in terms of how they provide education. But when it comes to qualifying for work visas, it's easier when you do have a degree. It really does suck. You know what? Let me look that up right now. For you guys, work visa requirements. Let me see. Before you can apply for a petitioner or non-immigrant worker, let me see. Do you need education for it? Temporary visa. Okay, temporary work visa. I'm looking it up. It could be only for the U.S. honestly, but that's something you have to research too, depending on what country. Canada definitely. You do have to. A lot of people ended up going to school again, or you had to do some extra training. Let me see. I'm looking at. I'm trying to look for it actually. So H-1B to work in specialty requires. Okay, so here it is. Work visa. I'll copy and paste it actually. H-1B. H-1B is the work visa for. This is for America. H-1B work visa, America. Okay, so if you're a U.S. citizen, then you don't need to. But for Dream High, for example, or yeah, like this is just for America. maybe other countries are different, but let's say it does require some sort of higher education degree or its equivalent. I think it's bullshit, to be honest, but it's weird. I think somehow they'll make exceptions, to be honest. But I remember when DreamWorks was applying for my work visa, they always asked for my degree certificate from school. So that's something you might want to think about if, let's say, if you do go to America, or maybe another country sort of has a similar requirement. But that I can't say. I'm only speaking of the work visa. But yeah, if you're American, dude, if you're American, yeah, there are better choices than a full degree course. I think a full degree course would only be good if you do plan on teaching in the future. But nowadays, when you want to get a job, it's all portfolio based. So, and what would you say makes a portfolio unique? Well, I guess it really depends on the type of work you put in there, right? You can put in, well, okay, one thing I need to say is that when you're applying for, let's say, a story position, if you're applying for a story position, you do need storyboards. For sure, but sometimes studios are looking for people who have their own voice. So put in supplemental work that I would say that describes who you are, what kind of work you like to do, and what kind of work you produce. So your own personal projects, and something that relates to story, for example, or storytelling. I wouldn't worry about making a portfolio unique. I would worry about making a portfolio show that you can work with a studio. And I would say make your portfolio or cater your portfolio to a studio that you want to work for. So let's say you want to work for Disney, right? The stuff that you put on the portfolio for, let's say, Disney storyboard, for your Disney's position is you want to have stuff that Disney might do in the future, work that resembles the Disney brand. If you were to apply for, let's say, Sony Pictures Animation. Yeah, Spa, I guess. But Spa and Sergio Pablo's, I will just say, if you want to go for Sony, for example, maybe they'll look for something more comedic. TV comedic. So I would say worry more about catering your portfolio, making your portfolio show that you can work with the studio, and then put in supplemental material that describes who you are. Okay, cool. So before this scene, is this the right file? No, it's actually after. I don't think I'm gonna put this one online. I'm probably going to make a video that's more that I would feel more comfortable about putting online. Like, let's say if I wanted to do a lecture or something I really wanted to talk about. So, yeah, I have a question. I would like you to answer it by yes or no if you don't mind. Do you know or have connections to producing the industry? Yeah, I know some producers. So, I would say yes. Oh, yeah, there's a jump there. Okay. But yeah, I actually do want to. I actually want to do like a lecture, for sure. Spins. What is going on there? Okay. Yeah, see, a lot of it's just like corrections and fixing missing links. Probably gonna blur this effect to hide all the shit, all the bullshit in it. Whoa, 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 what was that? Yeah, it disappears. Yeah, I'm just rewatching it a lot because honestly, I guess I'm not proud of how it turned out, even though it's gonna be colored. Oh, so what are some good online classes to take? Well, there's if you wanna. Okay, this is tricky because a lot of the good animation classes that I know are meant for CG animation. If you wanted to work in 3D and Western features. So Animation Workshop and iAnimate.net are great ones for that. As far as 2D animation stuff goes, yo, I can think of a name actually. Let me look her up. She's awesome. Fuck, why can't I think of her name right now? It's not. Fuck, hold on. I'm looking for. What's her name? Shit. Okay. Okay, because one thing I can recommend is there's someone who teaches classical 2D animation online, and she's from Canada, and she is awesome. I've never really met her, but you know, I love her point of view. And she's worked with Disney before. So I'm just trying to look for her name. Let me look it up. So give me some time. Oh, so Baconberry. Animation Workshop and iAnimate.net are a go-to for online CG schools for 3D animation. Okay. Shit, it actually isn't. Okay, let me see. Samantha Youssef, that's her name. So Samantha Youssef teaches in Scheisen Holtzen teaches in Canada. And Samantha Youssef, she has a class, she has a school called Classical Technique or something, and she teaches traditional 2D animation, and it's all done online. She teaches also traditional life drawing too. Studio Technique, that's what it's called. So here, let me just copy and paste the site. So I feel like something like this would be good. Yeah, so this might be a good alternative if you really want to go into 2D animation online. And it's all classical, so classical 2D stuff. That's the only one I can think of right now that teaches 2D animation online right now. And seems like she's doing it at a consistent rate. For me, I'm just going to focus on doing tutorial videos and then eventually come back to teaching. But I feel like someone like her, she seems more experienced in actually mentoring and teaching. It sounds like that's her thing. Oh shit. Oh my god. Yeah, she's cool. So Leia asks, could you tell us about your beginning being as an animator? Since you're actually, because yeah, okay, so one thing I can say is that I actually started trying to learn animation on my own when I was in high school. And actually at CTN this year, I actually hold on, let me just find it. I actually found all my high school work that I showed for CTN because I showed them that you can teach yourself how to animate. You should my lecture was on making your own short films, and basically because I grew up in Indonesia, we didn't have an animation community, so I basically showed them my high school work, where I tried to learn 2D animation on my own, and this was when I was surfing on websites like Newgrounds. So let me see that. So let me see. I'm looking for it right now in another window. Do I have it in this? I'm sure I do. Projects, presentation, C10X, high school me. So yeah, here, I'll show you guys the video I compiled. So this is stuff that I did back when I was in high school. And it was just like me playing around with Flash 8, Flash 5, Flash MX, and this was before Cintiqs were available. I had a Graphire 3, and a Graphire Wacom 3 was like one of the worst things for my hand because it was so tiny. But yeah, I actually started learning how to teach myself animation. So yeah, these are just like compilations of stuff that I did when I was like in high school. Yeah, I'm not gonna show too much of it because I'm probably gonna save it for another video where I talk about it and talk about, it's funny because I know, who was it? Zucchini Juice and Dream High were talking about a Discord page that they used to talk to. what's funny is that when I was in high school, I used to go on like a forum where there were teenage animators and they were trying to learn how to animate by themselves. So it's a cool callback, and it's cool that culture is still sort of going on today right now. I guess more so because of YouTube and the availability of animation right now. Okay. So I think I'm going to make this explosion pop up a bit more. So I'm gonna turn this into a 1. So I'm just going to quickly indicate. I'm not even going to spend too much time on details since it's only going to appear for 1 frame. I'm not exactly fully self-taught because, I mean, I did go to school I did go to CalArts after Sheridan College, and I did learn how to, because when I went to Sheridan, I actually wanted to learn how to approach drawing, because I didn't really have any drawing classes back in Indonesia. I just found stuff that I really liked online and tried to kind of study it. And also, I went to a lot of forums where there were a lot of people trying to do the same thing as I was. So it was cool. That's kind of like, in a way, that way I was self-taught. But I think when I went to school, I got to, discover myself more, which I'm still doing. I think we're all constantly discovering ourselves, no matter if we're in school or not. But I think school actually gave me the time to do that. So there we go. So it explodes more. I mean, it pops out more. So I think this is it. This is all I'm going to work on tonight. Just that smoke. At least I got it out of the way. You know what? I'm going to add some small particles. So I'm going to lock all these. Save this. I'm just going to add some dirt. Oh yeah, I did see the Steve On short. Actually, my office mate, Chris Palmer, he's actually friends with Steve On, but my office mate Chris Palmer, because they worked on Voltron together and Legend of Korra. I got to see that because of Chris Palmer. I got to see Blossom Detective. Yeah, that one. It's short. You know what? Yeah, I saw it, and honestly, I'm happy to see someone finish something on their spare time. I think it's hard for when you have a full-time job and when you're working already, it's hard to find that personal time to work on your own side stuff. It's not easy. So you know what? Kudos to him. We were all saying, no matter what he did, no matter what the product, I think it was great that he got to make that. So honestly, I'm proud that he did do that. I think he did make it as full time. I know he left Korra, and he just worked on that. And he hand animated most of those scenes, so good on him. Okay, now I'm gonna add some of the effects. So I'm just gonna add some line work. Nothing too special. Oh shit, I need to hide this shit. Make the timing sort of match what I have. No, he's not on Voltron anymore. He left. Both Chris and him left Voltron. So I'm just gonna add some like debris. So I'm just going to straight ahead some of that smears, that particle, that subtle explosion. So maybe have some come towards us. No, I still use TV Paint. Actually, it's because if I am to, it's just a workflow of this project because for this project I need a software that's vector based, and Flash is the only vector based software I have. And the reason why I'm using vector based software is so that I can pitch an idea that you can do this in a vector-based program where we can reuse assets for every other scene. So that's kind of what I'm demonstrating. So I'm just gonna add just a tiny bit more debris. I should probably have it constantly flying around. So just constant noise. Just have debris just flying all over randomly. Whew. I'm tired. And then maybe I'll have some of the twist around. So the debris slow down. So it goes like that. And then this is going to have us slow out. So now the debris starts really slow. Swirls around. Cool. Anyways. gonna actually make it swirl around. So it actually slows down here, comes back, maybe some comes from behind. So we get a dynamic opposition force going on. So some will actually fly backwards. Some will fly towards us. So when I play it, there's a bit more texture. You can always keep adding more. Just little specks like that, like little dust specks. Something to just give it more texture. There we go. Alright, so that's about it. I think I'm gonna save it. Call it done. See if it matches my previous shot. Awesome. I think I'm gonna leave it as that. Let me see if it matches the previous shot. So the previous shot is him stretching his mouth open. I'm gonna have to animate the effects. Then it's going to be that, and then after that shot, what was it? I'm trying to look for it. Sarah. See, I didn't even label the scenes. I'm such an idiot. What was it? Transform. You know what? I'll look at it in a different window because I hate showing my file names. What the hell is this? Oh yeah, this is it. So after this shot is this shot. So I still have to clean this down. I've been working on this for a while because I hardly have time to work on my own stuff, but I've been working on other stuff. That's kind of why it's been such a while. I'll just say it's been a while because it's kind of embarrassing how long it is. I would say there were times where I didn't work on it at all because I'm actually working on another short. So I would say this has been a full almost a year now, but that's where I took months off it. So yeah, so you guys know. Cool. I think that's about it. I think I'm gonna leave it at that for tonight. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But I think I'm gonna conclude tonight's stream. Again, it was a really casual and random stream, so nothing too special. Right, I'm gonna see my YouTube channel. There's yeah, okay, so there's no further questions. Alright, anyways, you guys have a good one. I'm gonna head out, probably get some sleep, so peace out. Bye. See you later.